Welcome to The Self-Led Woman. This is a podcast about emotional eating, the experiences that shape our relationships with food, and the path back to self-leadership. These conversations go beneath behavior, held with deep respect for the wisdom of the body and the ways it learned to cope, adapt, and survive. And when we can peel back those layers and meet the parts of ourselves that need care, we begin to see that food was never the problem, and we can return to who we really are. I'm your host, Megan Darnell. Let's dive right in. So I'm so excited for today's conversation with our beautiful guest, Lottie Davies. So Lottie is a UK certified naturopath, a yoga teacher. She works with women to support their health and hormones through education around nature's cycles, to create naturopathic treatment plans with consideration of healing in the space of community. In Lottie's work, she aims to uncover any myths that you may have been led to believe and to gain clarity on your journey back to connection with your body. Welcome to the podcast, Lottie.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
Me too. I can't wait for this conversation. So to kick us off, so for anyone listening who hasn't actually come across your work before, can you share a little about what you do and the women who tend to find their way to you, and also what originally drew you to this work on a personal level?
So I work with mainly women, and the reason they usually find me is there's some sort of hormonal imbalance going on or some sort of disconnect from the body. That seems to be the most common kind of complaint. And yeah, we work together to sort of figure out what's going on, how we can connect them back into their body, how they can connect back in with their nervous systems as well. And yeah, usually I come from a naturopathic point of view. I trained in the UK, and it's very much using nature, working with the seasons, takes a little influence from Chinese medicine as well. So understanding how the moon cycles might affect us, how the different seasons can affect us, and how we can bring that, integrate that, small little changes that have such a powerful effect day to day. It kind of fell into my lap, how am I trying to say this? I got into the education through a friend. I noticed how passionately she spoke about her naturopathic education, and I looked at what she was doing and I decided, right, I'll just do the first year, I'll dip my toes in, I need to learn something. And I just fell in love with it. It changed my life completely. It changed my relationship with my body. It made me realize how much of my life I had spent up here and not actually in my body. And that was, I can't even explain how powerful that is for a woman. Yeah, and then once I'd done the first year, I'd fallen in love, and I continued and I finished the 3 years, even though I moved to Australia. And it's just, yeah, like I said, it completely changed my life and my relationship to food. And just, it kind of changed definitely my belief system around food, but also I had such a negative image around my body, and I just felt like every year I was getting worse and worse and worse. And it was like I kind of got a pause with the course, with this education, and I realized, oh, that doesn't have to be the case. Like I get to have control here, and whether or not what other people around me are saying is true, like I get to sort of carve out my own route with it. So I hope that kind of made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a beautiful story too. Like it really was a coming home to yourself and a coming home to your body, and that connection. Yes, and all the beautiful things you speak about, which we'll get into, about like the connection back to nature and cycles and just women's bodies. Like there's so much good stuff there, and like really we have all the answers within ourselves. So just that coming back to it is really beautiful, which leads me into my next question, which is such a good segue into it. So you talk a lot about nature's cycles and the menstrual cycle and seasonal wisdom, which I love. Can you explain what that actually means in real life, and why do you think so many women feel disconnected from their internal rhythms?
Yeah. So I look at life as hundreds and thousands of little cycles going on at all times. And we all run by these different cycles. Men have different ones to women, but we all have them. And that can be on a cellular level, and it can be on like the macro sort of cosmic level as well. So if we look at astrology, for example, that's on a huge level, but it still affects us on a tiny, tiny cellular level as well. So I really love the influence of Chinese medicine because it works, it looks at each year, each season as a cycle as well. So we have what correlates to our spring is wood season, and that is like such a time of like rebirth, of growth. It's when our liver organ system is most activated, and the liver is the planner, and there's so much like power and energy behind it. And then we have so many different springs as well. So we have our spring in our menstrual cycle. So that's our follicular phase where estrogen is growing, and we're more passionate. We're more eloquent. We're more tolerant. We are excited about life. We have more energy. And then we have in the moon cycle, in the new moon. Hang on, where are we? It will be so it will be building up to a full moon. So the light's coming in, we've come out the darkness. So it's really that like building energy. And then we could, so summer in Chinese medicine is fire season. So things are really starting to heat up. The sun is energizing us. There's certain foods. So with the fire season, we have the bitter foods, and that's what's going to be more powerful, more healing for our body at that time. So each season has certain emotions, certain tastes, certain colors that really enhance what that season is trying to do. Yeah, and it's just such a powerful way of looking at things, of like, there has to be a rise and there has to be a fall. There has to be an ebb and a flow. And I think that just speaks to nature in general. Like, we cannot always be on, go. We have to have that death and rebirth so that we can sort of rise from the ashes and go forward and make the changes we need to make. But we have to have that yin and yang, the both sides of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And like, we are nature, like our bodies, we are nature, and it's like, to connect back to these things, we're really finding, well, ancient wisdom, like this has just been going forever, and connecting back to all those things. There's so much good stuff in there, and so much that we can use for our own healing that doesn't come from, things that are external to us. Like, I think that when I speak to that connection back to ourselves, like, and then knowing what we need from nature, from seasons, from all of the things. So and what you were saying about like the ebb and flow, when I see women struggling with emotional eating, it's like often the emotional eating, or even sometimes binging, and then there's like a restriction, and it's like they're almost trying to create that and trying to create balance, not intentionally. Like, they seem to look at it as a problem, and it's not. It's like there's something in there trying to create some sort of balance, but it's just a bit more extreme. But often it comes from us not listening to our cycles, not listening to what we need, not listening to our bodies, being stressed out of our mind, expecting us to have a summer season at all times, being go, when we're just completely at capacity or over capacity. And then, we're in the pantry at 10 p.m. because we've had a massive day and we haven't actually once stopped during the day just to go, hey, what do I need now? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to eat? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to go out and stand on the grass? Like, it's just like all of that wisdom, like, we need to come back to that.
Massively.
Yeah,
definitely. And that's so true. The body, the mind will always try and create that balance. It might not be quite in the right avenues, but it's that need, that urge is underlying. And we do this through how we dress, by the colors we choose. It's so subconscious. Often you'll find someone with a liver imbalance, they'll be wearing a lot of green, or like, you always see people wearing purple. It's like we don't even know we're doing it. It's very subtle.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. I feel like, because I've actually been looking into this and about how women choose food based on what they need as well, and it's interesting what they'll choose to binge on. And I did a post a few weeks ago, but about how when women crave sugar constantly, they don't need it. They're craving love. They're craving sweetness. When they crave crunchy and salty foods, they're actually having some like suppressed anger or frustration, because it's like the salt regulates us, but also the crunch, it's like you get to bite something, you get to break it, you get to like let out that frustration. It's fascinating. Like I could just go on a tangent with that, but it's just so interesting. And that's the thing, it's like we can sometimes feel disconnected, but there might be other ways that it's showing up, and we might not feel like that's connected or that's right. Like emotional eating is a good example, but it's like, no, there's some unmet need there, and you're trying to meet it through what you wear, what you eat, all of those things. Leads us beautifully into our next question. So when a woman notices that her mood, her energy, her cravings, or her self-talk shift across her cycle, what do you see the body trying to do, rather than what we usually label as something going wrong or it's an issue, like PMS? People just think that's an issue, but it's like, no, it's a message. But what do you think the body is trying to do, rather than it being like something wrong?
I believe the body is always trying to bring us back to balance. And so our mitochondria, our gut, our nervous system is always working together, like through chemical reactions, through light, through electricity, always trying to create balance. And when we have external and internal factors that take it out of balance, it starts to fragment. And that's when we might get like behaviors that we wouldn't normally do, or we might get inflammation, or even disease, fatigue, that kind of thing. And I think... One sec.
No, you're fine. Take your time.
Can you remind me the question?
So when a woman notices mood, energy, cravings, or self-talk shifting across the cycle, what do you see the body trying to do, rather than what we usually label as something going wrong?
Yeah. So it is trying to bring it back to balance. And like there may be a few different avenues for this. It could be emotional, it could be stress, it could be dietary as well. But this will usually show up in the luteal phase, which is usually when women have most issues, whether that's usually PMS or mood swings. And I feel like in the luteal phase, that's when we're closest to seeing what's going on. We don't have our tolerance, we don't have our buffer that we get in the earlier stages. And so maybe for the first time, we're really seeing things with clarity, and we're not okay with it. Someone's overstepped our boundaries, we're fed up, we're frustrated, we don't like what's going on in our life. And we need that ebb so that we can take stock of what's going on and use the energy of the next cycle, that beautiful follicular phase, to take action. And you'll notice if you don't, it will just keep coming back around. That luteal phase, it really just sheds a light on everything that we need to see. Obviously, this could be from a dietary point of view as well. We need more vitamin C in our luteal phase, so that's often like we might get sick. We need more magnesium. We also lose a lot of nutrients during our period. So there can be a few things going on that are like quite a nice, easy fix. But emotionally speaking, and I mean, I'm not trauma trained, but like the ancestral trauma that we take on, whether it's from our mother, our grandmother, or our own childhood, that's probably when it's going to come up the most, that we have to, the light is being shown, like is on for a reason for us to deal with it.
Absolutely. And that's such an important point you make. Like, we need more nutrients, or different nutrients at different times of our cycle. And I was writing another podcast episode this morning, but I was thinking about like all of these things we need in our life to support us, and support can look like so many different things on so many different levels. But sometimes it is the supplements, sometimes it is certain foods, and like just being able to support our bodies through that, like, because the world has been built on the way that men run, which is on a 24-hour cycle. It's like we don't often honor that. We expect the summer to happen all the time and all of those things. So on the subject of cravings, or like when women are feeling like, and often women are frustrated with PMS because they're like, I'm so angry, and we have interesting relationships to anger because we're taught as little girls, good girls don't get angry and all that sort of thing. But also we tend to crave more things because we need more nutrients or we need more energy. But when you hear a woman say like, I can't stop thinking about food, or I keep emotionally eating, what do you in your own work look for in terms of nourishment, stress, depletion, or unmet needs?
So depending on what it is they are craving can really give an indication of where the deficiency is. For example, a lot of women crave chocolate during that time. We need magnesium, we need a lot of it, and you're probably just a bit mineral deficient. That's a really good indicator. If there's a lot of tiredness or like reaching for sugary foods, that's usually a sign low iron. It's interesting what you said earlier about clients craving sweet foods, because sweet actually the taste sweet relates back to the earth, which is the earth is the mother element.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I wrote in this post about how we crave it because we're craving it now, but we often crave it if we're craving it all the time. We often didn't grow up with enough sweetness or enough softness. So that makes so much sense.
Looking for that mother energy.
The mother, the nurturer, like absolutely.
Yeah. It's interesting, like everything is so interlinked.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. When you like see, like a lot of women think that they're eating well or being healthy, but sometimes like they're actually undernourished.
Yeah.
So what does undernourishment really look like, and what do you see happen to, say, the nervous system or emotional capacity when the body isn't actually get what it needs to feel safe and supported?
Yeah. Well, we can't heal at all unless the nervous system is out of fight or flight. It's just not possible. So even if you are eating the perfect diet, having the most amazing supplements, ticking all the things off, if you're in fight or flight and your cortisol is running the show, you will not be able to heal. And you also won't be absorbing food because you're not in your rest and digest. So for every single person out there, we cannot do anything until we're in our rest and digest, or we're like happily fluctuating between the two. We're not just stuck in one consistently and keeping ourselves in there with stimulants. So if we can get the body into rest and digest, and undernourished can come, I guess, in a few different ways. For me, undernourished to me is that you're not connecting with your food. So maybe you're eating a lot of packaged food, or maybe someone else cooks for you, like you get a lot of takeout. Food, the digestion process happens way before we're sat at the table eating it. It's when we're cutting up the carrots, it's when we're smelling the onion, it's when we're thinking about, oh, what am I going to make tonight? Connecting in with your food starts so much earlier than just sitting down at the table. And if you're not in a position to be making food at home, that's absolutely fine. Just taking a moment to sit before you eat, maybe even just humming, just getting that nervous system into a sense of safety, it's so powerful. Like, it sounds really boring and basic, but we don't give enough time to these really simple, quiet processes that make massive changes. So even just giving thanks before your meal, looking at it, smelling it, connecting in before you actually eat, that alone will help you absorb more nutrients. Doesn't really matter what it is.
And such a simple thing that we can all do. Like, it's not like that's inaccessible to people, or it's, expensive supplements or anything. It's just something so simple. That's interesting too. Something I do is I just have like a cup full of apple cider vinegar like half an hour before my meal, because I've often had just like in the past like taken HCl because like my gut doesn't absorb the nutrients properly, but I notice on the weeks when I run out and I don't bother to get any more, like it actually greatly affects my mood as well. And I know that there's so many things going on there, but like that's interesting you sharing that too. And like
so that's also the preparation of like, oh, my body knows it's about to eat.
And that actually also makes sense, because I meal prep on the weekends and I don't tend to cook during the week, just because that's what is most supportive for me and for people who emotionally eat too. Like, part of the capacity that goes on during the day is you have to make so many decisions a day, and a lot of those are food decisions. And even if you've got children, like, you're making potentially hundreds of decisions a day. Like, it's about what to eat, how much to eat. Do I eat now? Do I eat later? Should I cook? Should I get like something from the supermarket? Just, it goes on, and it creates less capacity, which could then just lead to emotional eating later. But yeah, all very interesting. So can you explain the gut-brain connection in a way that makes sense to someone who feels overwhelmed by like health information? Or, because I know all your teaching, it comes back to like really basic stuff, but like, how does this connection affect mood, cravings, and emotional regulation in your view?
Well, we've all heard the brain is like the gut is the second brain, or even the first brain. And our brain in Chinese medicine, the metal element is the gut and the mind. My mind's gone blank what else, but those two are very closely connected. And it is our main source. It's our main source of toxins leaving the body and also absorbing whatever it can. And there's so many things that live in our gut that are supporting us. We always seem like scared of germs and things, but we need them. We coexist with these. Even some parasites we coexist with. So yeah, the more we can nourish our body, the more we can nourish our gut, goes without saying, the better our mental health will be. They're very closely linked. And there's so many ways we can do that through probiotics, prebiotics, polyphenols. They're like the 3 Ps that are probably going to be the most powerful. So that's your fermented foods, your sauerkraut, miso, it's your nuts, seeds, hemp seeds, that kind of thing. And then your green, your cruciferous. And that's all going to support the gut. And just keep, as long as everything's flowing, everything's moving, we're in our rest and digest, that will have a beneficial effect on our mind, on any anxiety or depression. It will help to rebalance. Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah. I like it. I mean, that's a whole conversation on its own too. Like the gut, and you know, if we've got the bacteria that we need, and like I spoke about apple cider vinegar, but like that helps us to produce more stomach acid, that helps us to extract our nutrients from our food, but also the prebiotics, the probiotics, that also helps us to like digest our food, absorb our nutrients. Like it's just like, I mean, it's just a whole system on its own, but it's like, it's keeping us alive. Like we don't stop to think about all the things our body is doing, or we don't stop to think about how much it does for us. Like I recorded an episode this week, but I was talking about, I recently had some cysts taken out of my head, and like there was nothing wrong, like they were just sebaceous cysts, but I had them taken out, and the next day I was saying to my husband, how amazing is a human body? Like I can feel my head healing, and I haven't had to tell it anything. I haven't had to do anything. It's just literally getting to work. And it's like,
it's incredible.
It's like you go to sleep, you wake up like you're still alive. Like it just does all these things. It like, you know, like one of my friends who wrote a book like about the body, but she said like, how amazing is the body that like you go to sleep, you're unconscious for 8 hours, give or take, and you didn't shit yourself. Like how amazing. Like it is so true. Amazing.
And it's always working for us. I know we can, especially with hormonal things, it can feel so confusing and frustrating, and you don't understand your body. But it is always doing its absolute best.
Absolutely. And if it feels like it's not doing its best, or if you're frustrated at something, like that's just a message from your body trying to tell you something. And it's just requiring your attention. Like it's not, I guess, something to be fixed. It's just something that requires your attention. And when you can turn towards it, reconnect back to yourself. Like that's, you know, where you're going to get your answers, I guess.
For sure. If we can rebalance, if we can get to back to our baseline, that is always possible. It's always possible to get back there.
Beautiful. So if a woman is listening and feels disconnected from her body and stuck in like the food noise, and when I speak to food noise, I mean, there's so many things here, but like, you know, it's, oh, I ate this, so I need to work out later. Oh, maybe I can eat this, but then I'll have to have this for dinner. Or I didn't eat that much later, I can have this. And then all the food decisions, and then, you know, how that ties in with exercise, but also it can be food noise as in their body, like they're checking their body or they're weighing themselves, or, you know, it's just this constant measuring. Or emotional eating. Where would, if she's feeling disconnected and stuck in that cycle, where would you suggest that she start before trying to fix anything?
Yeah. Even just what we did before we started this podcast, taking a moment to just sit, having your hands on your body, closing the eyes, bringing yourself back into your body. It is often the absolute most simplest things that are, especially women, especially females, that we need. That is probably the number one. And this is probably a more personal, I've had my own fair share of emotional attachment to eating and slightly dysfunctional eating when I was a teenager, and it's, a lot of it is that inner talk, it is that inner critic. And if we can take a moment to think how amazing you are a friend to other people, like how can we turn that back on ourselves? How can we be our own best friend? How can we micro shift that inner language, just to be a little bit kinder? And that is so powerful. And it just, if you can, I think also tiny steps, not overwhelming ourselves. And if we can just say, okay, I'm going to think of one thing I did amazing today, or I'm going to think of one thing where I just was so good at doing that thing. It just, little by little, we can start to like go the other way. Because everything really, it does start from the internal. We can make the external changes, but like I said, if we're bullying ourselves inside, our body is just going to create protection. It's gonna do everything it can do to keep you safe. And that can look like putting on fat, which is then, it takes you in that circle.
Absolutely. The body can totally do that. And I've seen it, like people can be holding weight and they can be doing the quote unquote all the right things. And they're like so frustrated and they're saying, why can't I lose weight? But the body often, from like my lens, how I work, it's like the body can do this as a form of protection, meaning the women who've had their boundaries crossed way too many times, they'll hold weight often around their midsection because their body's literally trying to protect their organs. Like the body is so clever. How it can do that. And it's like, it's doing that to protect you. It's doing that to try and keep you safe. And, you know, when women are stuck in those cycles of like, I need to lose weight, or they're so... they're beating themselves up, or they're frustrated at their bodies, it's also just creating more stress, more cortisol, which will just lead to our bodies hanging on because it doesn't feel safe. And what you were saying before, it's like that sitting down to your food and just taking a moment to breathe, like slowing down. And like there's a real difference between that versus, you know, eating at your desk, eating on the run, and not actually allowing yourself the time to digest your food. Like these are just, they're such simple things, but they can have a profound impact if you start implementing them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also when we're focusing on a part of our body and we're sending on negative emotions towards it, the body protects itself. Like it's yes, it might come from having our boundaries crossed as well, but we're sort of encouraging it, keeping it going. Yeah.
And a big piece about like what you were saying is just being kinder to ourselves. And what keeps people stuck in these cycles often is shame. And sadly, people have so much shame around emotional eating. And what I see all the time is the more extreme the behavior, as in if they feel like they're completely out of control with binging, or it could just be emotional eating occasionally when they're, you know, they've had a bad week, or they've just got a little bit too much, no pun intended, on their plate. But it's like when they're in those cycles, it's like, oh, I was so terrible, like, why did I eat that? And then they go the other way and restrict.
Yeah.
And then, but the restrictions fueled by shame as well. And it's like, well, I have to be really good this week because I ate all of that food on the weekend, and I really need to do this, and I want to lose weight, or whatever the dialogue is going internally. But it puts so much pressure on her system that she gets to Friday, and before she knows it, it's like something's taken over, and she's driving to the supermarket at 9 p.m. And standing in the chocolate aisle just trying to find something that's going to kind of scratch the itch. But it's like, it's just relief. She's just wanting relief. But it's like when we swing back and forth, but we're fueled by shame, it's like, if we can dissolve the shame just to begin with, like even a little bit, have a little bit of self-compassion, like it can really just be the first step in a process that starts to dissolve that.
Yeah.
And then you can start coming back to that, like that connection with your body and yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my last question for you, if the body could speak without being interrupted, what do you think it would most want women to hear?
I think it would be, you already know what to do, how to be, how to move, and we just need silence to connect back into that. And I think we are often quite disconnected from our intuition, but if we can strengthen that bit by bit, because we have so much conditioning, our parents had so much conditioning, we've been so disconnected from our intuition, from our own bodies. And it's starting to shift now. And it's it's very exciting to be a part of that. But it is, these generations, we're stopping what's been going on, and we're reflecting, and we're starting to heal. And it's exciting to look forward and think, okay, this next generation won't have to do that in the same way. And they're going to already be so connected to their bodies that it's not even going to be a question. But we have to learn what is our emotion, what is our ego, what is our conditioning, and what is our body telling us, because the body does have all the answers. Yeah. That's what I believe.
Perfect. Like just the most perfect answer and the perfect note to end. Thank you so much for being here. I have loved this conversation. It's just been amazing and just so perfect. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. If the listeners would like to find you, how's the best way they can get in touch, or share your Instagram?
Instagram would be the best place to find me. You can find me Lottie LOTTI_balance, or Lottie Malotti, and you can find me on there.
Beautiful. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Lottie. No, this podcast is for education and reflection only. It is not a substitute for therapy or healthcare. If this episode brought things up for you and you need support, please reach out to a trained therapy practitioner or health professional in your area. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode resonated, please follow or subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, or share it with someone who might benefit from hearing it. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Megan Darnell Therapy. If you share the episode or want to let me know what landed for you, you're always welcome to message or tag me. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time, I'm Megan Darnell, and this is The Self-Led Woman.